News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, I'm Whit Johnson in for David tonight. We begin this New Year's Eve with millions bracing for snow, rain, and brutal cold. At this hour, Times Square in the heart of Manhattan is filling up with what's expected to be a crowd of nearly 1 million people braving wind chills in the 20s to watch the famous ball drop live on ABC. Several feet of snow piling up around the Great Lakes, 2 feet of snow falling around Syracuse, New York in just one day. Alarming video showing a semi-truck jumping over a highway barrier into oncoming traffic in Fort Wayne, Indiana. The new year starting as 2025 ends with millions bracing for another round of snow and cold. Chief Meteorologist Lee Goldberg from our New York station WABC leads us off.
Tonight, snow and brutal cold are bringing more treacherous travel to millions ahead of the new year, and authorities are warning everyone to slow down. New dashcam video shows just how dangerous the roads can be. Watch as we slow it down. That center barrier barely able to hold that 18-wheeler as it slides toward oncoming traffic in Fort Wayne, Indiana, Monday. The Ohio State Patrol sharing this body camera video showing a truck and then a pickup sliding on black ice.
Casey, watch out!
Meanwhile, in upstate New York, the lake effect snow machine is in full force tonight. The sound of snowblowers echoing all over Syracuse, still snowing after they got more than 2 feet of snow in a single day. Areas around Buffalo bracing for up to 2 feet of additional snow by the new year. And barely a week after mudslides engulfed homes, new evacuation warnings are in place in areas around Los Angeles. New aerials show just how bad the damage is. This section of Angeles Crest Highway completely washed away.
Let's get right to meteorologist Lee Goldberg with the forecast. And Lee, that blast of snow and brutal cold to kick off the new year.
Whit, both coming right here to New York, and already feel the gusty winds. It's a New Year's Eve clipper. There's snow from the Great Lakes going into the Northeast. Could be an inch or two in Boston later tonight, maybe a coating here in New York. By the end of the week, lake effect snows 1 to 2 feet south of basically Lake Erie and Lake Ontario. And look at the wind chills tomorrow, single digits in teens, I-95 corridor, sub-zero in Burlington, Vermont. In the west, more rain overspreading Southern California. The heaviest will be tomorrow morning from about 2 to 8 in the morning. An additional inch or two of rainfall, more snow in the Sierra. Rest of the country actually fairly quiet, moderating temperatures in the plains all the way into the southeast, but it's cold and brutal in the northeast. And before we get to tomorrow, it's midnight in Times Square, 32, and a side of snowflakes with that confetti. Whit?
Yeah, plenty of layers required. Lee Goldberg, we appreciate it. And on this New Year's Eve, authorities across the U.S. are on high alert. Here in New York City, thousands of police officers are descending on Times Square, and the National Guard deployed in New Orleans 1 year after a deadly terror attack in the French Quarter. Here's ABC's Rena Roy.
Tonight, New Year's celebrations already underway around the globe. And here in the U.S., law enforcement taking no chances despite no known or credible threats, according to a threat assessment obtained by ABC News. In New Orleans, steel barricades up in the French Quarter and the National Guard patrolling after that deadly car ramming attack on Bourbon Street last year. In New York City, the entire police department on the job tonight. These revelers bundling up ahead of Dick Clark's 20th annual New Year's Rockin' Eve with Ryan Seacrest.
It's cold, but I'm surviving so far.
Before the show, Ryan Seacrest and Jay Penske, CEO of Dick Clark Productions and Penske Media, both producers of Rockin' Eve, ringing the bell at the NASDAQ. And headlining tonight, none other than the iconic Diana Ross, along with Mariah Carey, Post Malone, and New Kids on the Block.
And Whit, tonight's show will take place on that main stage there right behind us. And it's going to be a really fun one this year with 90 songs being performed by 42 different artists. Whit?
Rena Roy, thanks. The countdown is on. Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve with Ryan Seacrest begins tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern here on ABC. We turn now to breaking news late today. The U.S. military reporting strikes on 3 alleged drug boats. The search for at least 6 survivors now underway. U.S. Southern Command says the vessels were in a convoy traveling in international waters. At least 3 people were killed. Military officials say the survivors jumped overboard after the first vessel was hit. Tonight, a stunning move by the Trump administration. The Department of Health and Human Services says it will place new restrictions on billions of dollars in federal child care funds for every state in the U.S. The sweeping decision comes amid allegations of fraud in Minnesota. Here's ABC's Jay O'Brien.
Tonight, the Trump administration abruptly announcing new restrictions on billions of dollars in childcare funding for all states in response to what officials allege is widespread fraud in Minnesota.
We believe the state of Minnesota has allowed scammers and fake daycares to siphon millions of taxpayer dollars over the past decade.
The Department of Health and Human Services saying all of the more than $12 billion in child care grants distributed coast to coast by the Administration for Children and Families will now require a justification and a receipt or photo evidence before being distributed. According to HHS, nearly 20,000 children affected in Minnesota alone.
There are a lot of very scared and confused, both families and providers right now.
Minnesota Governor Tim Walz accusing President Trump of politicizing the issue to defund programs that help Minnesotans. Also writing, we've spent years cracking down on fraudsters. Trump calling Walz a crooked governor. State authorities and lawmakers have investigated fraud in Minnesota daycares for years, dating back to at least 2019. But Republican leaders, including the president, now seizing on a new viral video where a self-proclaimed independent journalist claims several Minnesota daycares receiving public funding are not actually providing child care, particularly targeting the state's Somali community. But some Minnesota officials have questions about the videos.
When were the videos taken? Were they during times that the center was scheduled to be open?
None of the centers have been accused of fraud by authorities.
And with Minnesota officials saying that they take allegations of fraud seriously, that they visited the daycares mentioned in that video this week. But this video setting off a firestorm despite the fact that it focuses on an issue that's been scrutinized repeatedly in Minnesota. And now, because of it, new restrictions on child care funding across the country. Whit.
Jay O'Brien for us tonight. Thank you. And the decision to freeze federal child care funds comes just as the cost of health care is about to skyrocket for more than 20 million Americans. Tax subsidies expiring at midnight, Congress going on break without reaching a deal. That means millions will now see their health care premiums double, triple, or surge even higher beginning tomorrow. Here's ABC's Selena Wang.
Tonight, in just hours, more than 20 million Americans will see their health care costs soar, with Affordable Care Act subsidies expiring at the stroke of midnight. Premiums expected to skyrocket 114% on average for those millions, according to the Kaiser Family Foundation. Those subsidies at the center of the longest government shutdown in history, Democrats demanding an extension. But instead, lawmakers left for the holidays with no solution in sight. It's all a stark reality for Americans like 63-year-old Georgia grandmother Angela Holmes.
My total premium is supposed to be around $1,500.
Can you afford that?
I have to. It's going to mean picking up a little bit of part-time work. It will mean expanding my garden so that I can grow more of my own food.
Doug Bouchard and his wife, who has ALS, expects their monthly costs to soar.
Her premium went up from $603 a month to $1,396 a month. Our deductible went from $500 a year to $8,600 a year.
Bouchard from Illinois says he retired early as a mechanic to care for his wife.
We do have money saved, but that's supposed to last a lot longer than a year or two.
The House is expected to vote in January on a bill to extend these subsidies by 3 years, but it's unclear if the Senate will follow. Now, many Republicans have long been critical of the Affordable Care Act, arguing that it gives too much money to insurance companies, but they haven't come up with a viable alternative.
All right, Selena Wang, our thanks to you. Next tonight, a second player for the New England Patriots is now facing criminal charges. Defensive tackle Christian Barmore is accused of domestic assault. It comes one day after star wide receiver Stephon Diggs was accused of attacking his personal chef. Today, for the first time, the Patriots head coach pressed about the allegations involving both players. Here's ABC's Ika Jachi.
Christian Barmore, the team's rising defensive tackle, is charged with domestic assault from an alleged incident back in August. After an argument about the air conditioning temperature and food, court documents say Barmore grabbed his then-girlfriend's phone, threw her to the floor as she tried to leave. On the other side of the ball, Stephon Diggs, the team's top receiver, was charged with felony strangulation and misdemeanor assault and battery. According to a police report, a woman said she was working as a private chef at Diggs' Dedham, Massachusetts home. On December 2nd, the woman said Diggs slapped her and tried to choke her during a dispute over money. In a statement, Diggs' attorney says in part he categorically denies these allegations. Patriots coach Mike Vrabel pressed about the allegations involving his two players.
Let the process take its toll.
Coach Vrabel says he hasn't heard anything that would keep either player from the game against Miami on Sunday. Stephon Diggs is scheduled to be arraigned on January 23rd. As for Barmore, his case is set for February 3rd, 5 days before Super Bowl 60.
Ike Ajachi, thanks so much. Now to President Trump abandoning his push to deploy National Guard troops in Los Angeles, Chicago, and Portland as part of his crackdown on immigration. Facing multiple legal setbacks, the president says he's removing the National Guard from all three cities, but warning we will come back if there's a rise in crime. The Supreme Court blocked the Trump administration from deploying troops in Chicago earlier this month. When we come back, bank robbers pull off an elaborate heist. Hear how they broke into a vault and hauled away a fortune. Plus, changes on the way for the postmarks on your mail, what this could mean for your bills and tax returns. Next tonight, thieves pull off a brazen multi-million-dollar bank heist in Western Germany. Police shared this image where they say the robbers drilled into a wall to make a huge hole wide enough to crawl through. Once inside, the thieves broke into thousands of safety deposit boxes, their haul reportedly worth up to $105 million. Still ahead, changes on the way for the postmarks on your mail, how this could impact your bills, ballots, and more. To the index now, a wallaby is back home after busting out of a petting zoo and wandering through New Jersey. 3-year-old Rex hopped out of his enclosure at a petting zoo in Williamstown on Monday. Several people saw the wayward wallaby bouncing around a pond and a parking lot. Zoo workers eventually were able to capture Rex outside of a Walmart last night. The U.S. Postal Service is rolling out changes for postmarks in the new year. For decades, postmarks help people meet deadlines for bills, ballots, tax returns, and more. Soon, the postmark will no longer reflect the day a letter was submitted. USPS clarified its rules, saying postmarks will be added when an envelope is processed, potentially days after it was dropped off. When we come back, David is here with his New Year's message and a personal look behind the scenes here at ABC News.
And finally tonight, here from atop the Disney ABC headquarters here in New York City, the Robert Iger building, I have a personal note I wanted to share with all of you at home. We do this every year, but I think it's so important. First of all, I just wanted to thank all of you at home for tuning into the news every night, even when it's difficult to watch. We are grateful to have you with us each and every evening. I also wanted to thank the people behind the scenes here at ABC who make this broadcast possible every night. They're my friends, they're my family here at work, and they are as caring and as committed as you could imagine. I am grateful for them, and I'm grateful for all of you at home. Happy New Year. I'm David Muir from all of us at ABC News. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next year. Good night.